Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Shrishta Bansal from BPS Women's University, Sonipat, Haryana. Today we will be discussing about the module Enlightened Leadership, Indian Perspectives of the paper Indian Perspectives on Human Quality Development. By the end of this module, students will be able to understand the Indian perspectives on leadership and their applications in our lives. To assume positive leadership roles, human quality development plays a very important role in every part of life. Leaders are the heroes of society and of organizations. Without proper leadership, confusion and chaos will occur. The enlightened leaders persuade or facilitate others in achieving the goals with full zest and enthusiasm. Thus, the enlightened leadership has a positive influence on people and on their working. The enlightened leaders follow the values which are rooted in our Indian culture. Bhagavad Gita also describes some values which are essential for the leaders. These values are discussed in Gita as the qualities required for being the enlightened leader. Qualities of enlightened leaders are appropriate conduct, emotional maturity, managing self, and having a macro vision. Let's understand about appropriate conduct. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, whatever a leader does, other person does that very thing. Whatever he upholds as authority, an ordinary person follows that. The leader is one who leads others. Thus, he or she should be vigilant enough in his thoughts, actions and speech, as he or she is followed by many other individuals. It is the fundamental truth that if a leader is honest, hardworking, kind and sincere, the people also follow the same path. Therefore, people are influenced by leaders from their speeches and more from their deeds. In such a way, leader carries a great responsibility of many other individuals who are likely to follow his actions. Consequently, this conduct should be ideal one and always inspiring for others. Hence, the enlightened leadership is one which can exist even in the midst of dishonesty and corruption. The enlightened leaders possess the quality of being emotionally mature. They have a balanced approach in life. They are not overjoyed at the time of happiness and not overstressed in the midst of difficulties. They face problems with patience and give the credit of success to their followers. They don't think a lot about future as it is unpredictable, but yes, they perform their best at present situation and never bother about the results. Gita says to accept the results as the blessings from God. As a consequence, enlightened leaders become the master of every situation by accepting and following these golden words. With equanimity of mind, such leaders create the environment in which the whole society at large can grow. In this way, they transform the workplace as a place of worship. Managing self is also an important aspect or quality of enlightened leader. They possess the transformational leadership skills. They do not command others or force people to work in a particular way. Instead, they set the example for others by working in particular ways themselves. The transformational leaders practice the things in a way to preach others by their own example. They manage themselves before managing others. Thus, managing self is considered most important in Indian philosophy. Then, leaders should also have a macro vision. Macro vision is all about overcoming the self-centered perspective and realizing that there is much more in the universe. It is like peeping from a keyhole where we can see that there are a lot of things to consider. Vedanta explains this macro vision and states that the man should understand the truth that I am not a single solitary individual. I am a part of the whole universe, and this universe is the manifestation of God in various forms. Just as the waves rise in the ocean, play in the ocean and disappear into the ocean, the whole universe arises in him, exists in him and disappears in him. As a wave is not different from other waves and ocean, an individual is also not different from other individuals and the whole universe. As the water is the essence of a wave and the ocean, the spirit or soul is the essence of every individual. The enlightened leaders understand this macro vision of life and the service-oriented approach, which is the result of their hard work and sense of duty. In this way, the Indian perspective towards leadership helps us in understanding the real essence of leader and leadership abilities. The insights on leadership from ancient sources like Manusmriti, Mahabharata, Kautilya's Arthashastra set the path for today's leaders. Further, the Gandhian thoughts and the description of nurturing tasks and pioneer innovative leadership styles aid the leaders of the 21st century in their day-to-day dealings. The leadership lessons from these sources are described below. Now we will understand the leadership lessons from Manusmriti. Manusmriti provides leadership lessons which are drawn out from the text with three different approaches. These are trait approach, behavioral approach and contingency approach. Trait approach. Manu compares leaders with all forces of nature and therefore has the power to influence his followers. Therefore, an effective leader must have the following forces of nature. Indra. Just as Indra during the monsoon blesses everybody with the wealth and prosperity, in the same manner, a leader should have the willingness and ability to satisfy all his stakeholders. Vayu. It symbolizes dynamism and energy. As Vayu has the ability to enter every corner and scan it, similarly, a leader should take a review of each and every detail of the workplace. Yam denotes the skill of keeping everybody on the right track. Yam is able to make everybody understand the value of right path, as working in the right way may lead one to heaven and in the wrong way may lead to hell. In terms of managing, the leader should be unbiased like Yam, which makes people aware that the effective performance leads them to rewards and the ineffective performance to punishment. Surya. Surya has the attributes of enlightenment and having concern for people. As Surya sucks water from earth slowly and gradually, in the same way, a leader should not expect a huge outcome from his employees in a short span of time. He must have concern for his people and should provide them time for performance. Agni, it symbolizes the power and knowledge. Likewise, a leader should update his knowledge about all the developments of his relevant field. Chandra, it represents the calm and pleasant personality. In the same way, a leader should be pleasant and should possess good interpersonal skills to lead effectively. Kuber, signify the judgment of finances. Similarly, a leader should use the wealth in a right way. Behavioral approach. This approach reflects the required behavior of a leader towards his followers. Concern for followers. It is said in Manusmriti, the king who pains his populace due to his personal gains gets destroyed. It is required for a leader to protect his followers and have the concern for their upliftment. Here in this diagram, we see how this approach is applicable in the modern world. Employee satisfaction could be achieved through work-life balance, health benefits, respect, compensation, and stability. Behavioral approach, concern for system discipline. Discipline in the system should be ensured by the leader through the proper and timely execution of punishment. Further, it is added that the punishment should be executed fairly in two conditions, that is, the wrong intentions and the carelessness. In the absence of these conditions, the person can be forgiven. But if these two reasons are proven, the punishment should be executed appropriately. Concern for self-discipline. Self-discipline is the most important part of the behavioral approach. Without self-discipline, the system discipline and concern for followers cannot be executed. Consequently, it is required by a leader to keep his senses in control. Only then he will be able to keep his followers in control. A leader should possess the ability to overcome the vices like anger and the temptations born from desires. He must not blame his followers for the failures. So we can say that self-discipline creates a brighter tomorrow. Leader as Yuga Shrishta. Leader is so influential and powerful that he has the capacity to create various yugs also. So in Kali Yuga, what type of leader will be there? When the leader is greedy, materialistic, having concern for his own self-interest, at this yuga, the followers suffer a lot. Dwapar Yuga, when the leader is responsible for his duties and answerable to his followers. This is the better condition, and this state is referred to as Dwapar Yuga. Treta Yuga, when a leader is self-motivated, energetic, and works for the organizational growth which leads to the welfare of employees. Satyuga, when the leader works on the path of dharma in every condition and situation. This is the best yuga, as at this time leader is able to fulfill the behavioral approach by balancing all three dimensions of concern for followers, system discipline, and self-discipline. Contingency approach. This theory from Manusmriti is in a complete form than any other situational theory from modern thinkers. Accordingly, a leader should judge the performance of his workers after considering the important aspect of the place, time, ability, and work. In Manusmriti, it is defined as Desh, the place, the area, the environment, and the culture in which the work needs to be done. Kal, the time of work, as it too impacts the work and its accuracy. Shakti, the ability to work. It denotes the ability of both the employees and the leader himself. Karya, the type of work which needs to be accomplished. In this way, this theory covers all aspects and all deeply reviewed approaches. Manusmriti was written around more than 2000 years back and is even vital and relevant for today's leaders for effective leadership. Insights on leadership from Mahabharata. The concept of leadership given in Mahabharata helps in understanding the path towards enlightened leadership with various vital aspects, that is, virtues of leaders, human relations leadership, and situational leadership. Virtues of leaders: being Atmavijay or self-conquering. It reflects the truth that conquering and managing the self is most important in managing the subordinates and peers in the organization. A leader cannot maintain the discipline at the workplace until and unless he himself is self-disciplined. Honesty and transparency. In Mahabharata, Yudhishthir was considered the noble and great person due to his honesty and truthfulness, and was even praised by his enemies. In the same manner, a leader is required to be honest and transparent in his dealings to win the hearts of his co-workers. Balancing strictness and gentleness. The leader should be polite with a gentle smile and compassionate nature, but should not be too magnanimous that people stop following the rules and regulations. He must also use the strictness according to the situation. Just as the sun rays during the rainy season are neither too cool nor too hot, so should the king be, not too soft nor too hard on his subjects. Building bonds. Bonding between leader and follower is again an important task. The bonding will be stronger when the leader will use the toughness and softness in balance. This practical wisdom from Mahabharata teaches a leader to be both mild and harsh according to the situation. Decision making. The leader should take time in taking decisions. He should analyze the problem, find the mistakes and the ways to overcome those mistakes. Team building. A leader should be vigilant enough to judge the best qualities required in the persons of his team. He should choose his team members by recognizing their virtues, wisdom, skills, aspirations, and loyalty. These team members should be committed enough and work in a team and achieve the goals. For building these effective teams, it is also required that leaders should assign the task to the members and skillfully delegate the authority with responsibility to achieve success. Positive reinforcement. It comes with appreciation and reward, which a leader is required to provide to his subordinates for their accomplishments. Positive reinforcement can be given by listening to their problems and helping them to overcome it by providing emotional support. Resolving the conflicts. The conflict between two teams or between two members of teams is a difficult situation for a leader, as those two conflicting members are like the two gambler sons of the same mother. Both of them are important for the smooth functioning. Situational leadership. It is stated in Mahabharata that king who can adopt different styles depending upon the task at hand does not suffer failure even in his smallest endeavor. Further, this style of leader should motivate an individual to work with more dedication towards the goal. This can be actually done when a leader can understand the situation of the worker, the task to be performed, and the environment in which the task is required to be performed. Once these things are clear to a leader, accordingly, he can choose the leadership style. Power source of a leader. The important source of power through which he influences his followers is his personal power, which he achieves by not being attached to his position bar. So he holds his position in trust of his followers to be used for the larger good. Evaluating self. Evaluating the world is not possible without evaluating the self. So a leader should introspect for becoming aware of his strengths and weaknesses, of his vices and virtues. Being aware of the vices and weaknesses will help the leader to overcome his shortcomings and to work in a better manner. In addition to this, by being aware of strengths and virtues, helps him not only to be happy for past achievements, but to put the best efforts for the future achievements too. Therefore, lessons from Mahabharata show the path towards the enlightened leadership which leads to the larger good. Kautilya's leadership concepts. Kautilya's Arthashastra explains the qualities, duties and powers of a king which enable him to be a successful leader. Be able to attract followers. Leader should possess the qualities of intellect. He should possess qualities of energy and enthusiasm. Leader should be a Rajrishi. Leader should be a Vijigisu. Attracting the followers. The qualities which are required to attract the followers are intelligence for making better decisions, enthusiasm towards completing the work effectively, honesty, being transparent in his dealings, keeping promises, honoring the deals and contracts with all the stakeholders, acknowledging people for their support and long-lasting relationships, and determination towards achieving the goals. Possessing qualities of intellect. The qualities of intellect help the leader to be more enlightened. These qualities of intellect refer to desire to learn and being an active and patient listener. Qualities of energy and enthusiasm. These relates to leaders being bold and brave and having determination and dedication and having promptness to work. Leader as a Rajrishi. The Rajrishi leader refers to a king wise like sage. For that reason, he first introspects and makes his personality better by having self-control, not indulging in excessive pleasures, and by conquering the senses. Through this, he will be able to overcome the vices of anger, lust, ego and hatred. He is the one to follow and also helps others to follow the concept of Yogkshema, where yoga refers to successful accomplishment of an objective and kshema means the peaceful enjoyment. Thus, being Rajrishi is a combination of authority and understanding, where the leader works with bravery and patience. Leader as achievers or Vijigisu. Kautilya referred to leader as a Vijigisu, that is desirous of achievement or victory. This desire of victory or Vijay is about overall achievement orientation, that is the achievement of dharma, arth, moksha, but not guided by narrow self-interest, that is calm. Instead, it works for the peaceful environment of one and all. Here we see the Kautilyan concept of use of power. On the x-axis we have use of power, which ranges from mild, just and severe, and on the y-axis we have level of satisfaction. When the use of power is mild, the level of dissatisfaction is high. When the use of power is severe, the level of dissatisfaction is again high. But when the use of power is just, the level of dissatisfaction is low. That is, when the use of power is just, the level of satisfaction is high. Creative leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. A great leader can be one to whom everyone approaches for an innovative idea to a problem. Creative leadership means that you can also nurture growth and innovation in others that will benefit everyone. Gandhi showed that how innovation in ideas can bring changes. The new thinking that led to Satyagraha had its deepest roots in his own experiences, especially his encounter with the racist power in South Africa. Burns has used the term creative leadership to describe Gandhi's Satyagraha. In 1906, when Gandhi was in South Africa, the authorities decreed that all Indians must register with the government. Gandhiji called a mass meeting to protest the humiliation of fingerprinting and body checks. He first termed defiance of the law as passive resistance, but disliked the phrase as it suggested the weapon of the weak. The meaning of the struggle, he decided, was better expressed by a word, so he coined Satyagraha, the power born of truth and love or non-violence. Gandhi's idea was to conquer hatred by love. Gandhi's invention of the concept of Satyagraha was the distinct act of his innovative and creative leadership. And this creative leadership, when evolved in India, proved deeply principled when in 1930 Gandhi resolved on a long march to the coast to gather salt from the shore in defiance of the government's monopoly on its collection and manufacture. As British levied tax on salt, which is the greatest necessity of life, and due to this tax, many starving and sick people were burdened. So Gandhiji started Satyagraha campaign against British injustice. Many warned him that the campaign was too risky and he can be imprisoned. But Gandhi kept steadily on his plans of disciplined non-violence. For 24 days, across 200 miles, Gandhi led the thousands of women, men and children. His arrival at the sea was greeted with jubilation. The salt satyagraha was a colossal success. Gandhi's peculiar choice of salt for his march confused the British and the Indian leaders alike. Had Gandhi gone by train or motor car to make salt, the effect would have not been that considerable. But to walk for 24 days and then to pick up a pinch of salt in publicized defiance of the government, thus becoming a criminal, that required imagination, dignity and the sense of showmanship of a great artist. Greatest moral leader. The Indian national movement under the leadership of Gandhi is an example of creative leadership. He only used the weapon of courage and indomitable will, which was an innovative strategy of achieving the goal. Gandhi chose a weapon which Britishers did not know how to use and so won against them. People admire Mahatma Gandhi for various reasons. Many view Gandhi as the greatest moral leader of the 20th century, as well as the brilliant tactician, and both these qualities flowed from his extraordinary political creativity. Gandhian Engineering. The concept of Gandhian Engineering says that we have to manage to get more for everybody from the less and limited available on the earth. So, the 21st century leaders should know to design and to develop the products and services with more performance from less material, less cost, less time consumption, less environmental pollution for more and more people. Humanistic Approach. Gandhi emphasized that victory for a cause can be won without making the opponent feel defeated. He was an advocate of a win-win situation rather than a win-lose situation. Gandhi refused to see bad in people. He often changed human beings by regarding them as though the good in them was all of them. Being able to see the potential in a person and bring out the best in him is the mark of a true leader. Here we see that Gandhi says, "Hate the sin but love the sinner." Leader as a servant. Gandhi put a lot of emphasis on the leader's ability to serve. He said, "Leaders who serve are the ones to be trusted." He stated that leaders are of two kinds: self-styled, who become leaders to exploit masses, and those who become leaders by right of service. They are to be trusted. Leading by example. There was a fundamental integrity between Gandhi's leadership theory and his practice. He demonstrated an amazing synchronism among his speech, thought, and action. Gandhi was an embodiment of trusteeship principle of leadership. For him, a leader was responsible for holding in the trust the power that followers gave him. A misuse of this power was for Gandhi a betrayal of that trust. Gandhi always led by example. He never asked his followers to do anything which he himself had not practiced and imbibed in his own life. He first experimented with ideas and then he propagated it among others. He was therefore better able to understand the problems encountered by common man. Let's now understand the concept of nurturant task leadership style, which was put forth by Sinha and Verma in 1987. Nurturant task leadership style talks about the Indian way of leading people. The American culture is very much different from our Indian culture. In American culture or Western culture, when the children are grown up, parents leave them free to learn, explore, earn, and live by themselves. But in India, this is not the case. So when in the organization they face the hire and fire style, they are not disheartened, as they know that this is the culture, and if they do not work, they will be fired. But in India, we have the love, care, concern and bonding in our culture, and so in our families. Similarly, if our organizations adopt the American style of working, people will not be able to survive more in the organization. Thus, Sinha and Verma stated that we require the Indian way of working in our organizations. Indian culture is said to be collectivist, wherein maintaining relationships is much more important than performing the task. Blending nurturance and task. The nurturant task leadership style talks about leading the employees by understanding their needs and expectations and keeping them happy. Apart from leading, this style also focuses on being task oriented. The effective and enlightened leadership comes when nurturance and task orientation work hand in hand. Nurturance creates a feeling of comfort, security, understanding and relaxation. But in such a case, work is somewhere neglected. On the other hand, task orientation focuses on doing the work and has resistance to care and concern. Thus, blending nurturance and tasks make leaders more effective and enlightened. The leadership style also gave the concern for those types of employees who are of the independent thoughts and want to work on their own, and don't want somebody to be around every time. The aspect B, that is the participative style, is added to the nurturance task. This style is also helpful for those employees who are receiving nurturance earlier. Over the time, those people may change, their requirements may change. Of course, they will gain the experience in such periods and will develop the self-confidence to handle the tasks without close supervision, and consequently, they will need less guidance and nurturance. Let's now discuss about the pioneering innovative style of leadership put forth by Khanwala in 1984. Though the theory belongs to leadership style, he gave it the expression of management called as pioneering innovative management instead of pioneering innovative leadership. However, this style is associated with the top leadership style. Its characteristics are positively adopting to change without much concerning about past practices, innovating ideas, services, products, its high quality orientation, taking risks and finding solutions, and being a pioneer in their area of expertise. Role of environment. Thus, the pioneering innovative leadership is more effective in an opportunistic environment rather than in a highly controlled environment. When the pioneering innovative style is operative, it improves the performance of the organization by progressing in each kind of circumstances, which also improves the public image. The top man acts as the father figure and earns respect due to their capabilities and competence and concern for people. They also act as the greatest motivation in all types of institutes and organization. Thus, pioneering innovative style has an important role to play by the top executives. We have examples of the great personalities of India who have been the pioneers and innovative leaders. For example, Tatas have been known for their concern regarding the interests of the stakeholders, the health and welfare of the employees, and environmental protection. So students, let's now summarize what we have studied in this module. Leaders play a vital role in every part of life. The Indian perspectives on leadership helps us in understanding the real essence of leader and leadership abilities. The insights on leadership from Manusmriti, Mahabharata, Kautilya's Arthashastra and Gandhian thoughts set the path for today's leaders. Further, the description of nurture and task leadership style and pioneer innovative leadership styles narrate the differences of thoughts and values of different cultures. Consequently, it is required that the Indian style of leadership should be followed by the Indian leaders, which suit best to our Indian culture, its values and its people. Hence, the ancient Indian leadership perspectives as well as the other theories and concepts put forth in an Indian context, if followed in the 21st century, will bring peace, happiness and prosperity all around. Thank you.